I don't see anything. This is brand new to me. Everything's changed since I last streamed, and this is driving me friggin' nuts. Streams. So that's why I'm starting early, because I don't know what the frack I'm doing. Oh, is there a camera working? It should be showing me a monitor. Okay, let me go to live stream where I should be able to see if I'm actually streaming. It says I'm streaming, it says it's healthy, but is there video? Is there audio? I don't know what's going on. Okay, everything's going studio mode. Great. Settings, not helpful. So I'm just giving you a blow by blow here. If I'm alive, I'm alive. If I'm dead, I'm dead. You give me a chance to figure out what the heck is going on. Scene 1, scene 2. Well, these are actually pretty cool tools, but it sure is annoying. I understand, but they don't have good instructions. Nope. Okay, it says my mic is working. Don't know which mic I'm using. I have 2 potential mics, and I can't find which mic I'm using because... Actually, this is pretty cool. As much as I hate it, it's pretty cool. So, let me see. Monitor off. I want monitor. Monitor would give me, but I want to know what my source is. So I want to know what source is. I can see chat, so if you are happening around there, you could tell me what the hell I'm doing wrong. You know, that's funny. There's this watch thing. It says 2 people watching, yet 0 watching. Good. Yeah, fine, great. Okay, I'm gonna go to stream options. Okay. Uh-oh. Bad settings. Please key frequency for second less keyframes not being sent often enough, which is causing buffering. The current keyframe, even if I know the transition. Fuck. Jesus. Okay, what the frack is going on? Okay, what if I do this? Turn that off. Go back to here. Go back to settings. Output. I don't know what. Who cares? Stuff doesn't help me. Video output is currently active. Okay. Let's go to my stream. Okay. It says, but okay, there's a volume. dB gain, stop streaming. Hey, I'm only 2 minutes late technically. Now let's see if this thing's working. Now I'm showing bit streams. Okay, we are live. Holy shit. Okay, you'll freaking have to forgive this craziness. Wow, that was not what I was expecting for live streaming. Yeah, things have changed. Shit. That should be moving it around in real time. I am going to play a little bit while, like I said, I'm totally freaking out that this stuff is new. Oh dear, 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 dear. We will get to Jordon Peterson and Sam Harris, I promise, at some point. I'd love to have comments or criticisms or whatever. But anyways, it's life. Okay. Now do you see it? Because I have to look at the live stream to see if it's actually working. If you guys are seeing anything or not seeing anything, like I said, I thought I understood what was going on. Apparently, I'm an idiot, which isn't hard to believe. Oh, I do see some real stuff happening on the live stream now for reals. Okay, but there is a delay. God, TV. But at least you're getting something at this point. Okay, so I hate time travel. And it makes you loopy. So, gosh darn it. It's working. God God dang it. Okay, so this is my first time doing one of these YouTube live events through the new system. New to me anyways. Apparently they have key systems and all that. So making life more interesting. You know, as you get more complicated, things get more complicated. Anyways, so Jordon Peterson was talking today, or actually he was, what was it, Lafayette? What was the university he was referring to? And this is what got me thinking about this particular issue. The lack of ability to have a conversation is what's kind of amazing. And it was banned lecture at Linfield College, Ethics and Free Speech. And this particular link I put in the chat, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's not new, right? I mean, this isn't something brand new. This is something that's been going on for a while. It's just this incredible inability to listen to other people. And they say, well, because he might offend people. Well, really strange reasons for them not having his speech. It's just like, I mean, wow, why is it so hard? Here's the thing that I think we have to understand as a society. I mean, if you're a free speech advocate, the reason free speech is so important, is its communication with one another. And the reason you don't shut down what someone's trying to say, suppress what they're trying to say, is you want to get an accurate understanding of what they're thinking. So you don't want to tell them what words are appropriate to use. You want to see what words it is they choose to use. And this is why it is amazing to me that they shut this man down. It's like, how much more powerful do you want him to become? Because there's so many people that are just not going to suppress his speech. Now, the reason I use Sam Harris and Peterson as my YouTube flypaper was because they had a conversation, and these people are diametrically opposed. No, I wouldn't say diametrically opposed. They have common ground in their free speech advocacy, but in so many other areas, they're not seen eye to eye. You know, they're like, I don't agree with you there. You know, that's okay. But they had two civil conversations, even though one was very unproductive and the other one was, it was actually relatively productive and is an interesting one to view. It's with Sam Harris and Jordon Peterson discussing, you know, they're trying to get to the foundation of ethics. And you really can't even begin to get to ethics until you're willing to have conversations with anybody and everybody that wants to honestly talk. And there is a point. There is a point. If someone doesn't honestly want to have a conversation, you know, then it's going to be very difficult. But you can pretty much suss that out pretty quickly. Honest conversations versus a dishonest conversation. And I just was kind of blown away. And this is in Oregon, very close to where I live. And it's like, it's so basic. It's so basic. And, you know, I wonder, I'm just not going to attempt to do it, but I really should be prepared to stream a bit of that with you, what Jordon had to say and the conversation that went back and forth between the university and him. It's just like, you don't want to be shutting down free speech. Okay. Now, the talk went on at another location, and so in that sense, things still made sense. And you can argue who should be paying for it, whether it should be paid at all, and those are secondary arguments. And I certainly think those are valid points to be made about this. But what are we going to do? And I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. What are we going to do? And I think the real answer to that is go out and make an assertive effort to talk to people that disagree with you. I mean, I just think it's very basic. I know it sounds silly, but go out and learn something about someone else. And just put in your mind when you're talking to someone, it's not about me, it's about them. I want to understand their position. You don't have to agree with them. Can we distance ourselves from this needing to judge other people? And can we just communicate to understand the perspective, but not to judge the perspective? You know, and this is. I mean, we need to come up with tools in order to have conversations. One of the interesting questions that I asked myself, I said, what is it going to take to get people to engage in conversation? What are the tools that we need to have to engage in conversation? I know this is an issue for Michael Shermer. People know who Michael Shermer is. He's the president of the Skeptic magazine, founder, and he's written several books on reason and logic, and one thing, and he's getting better and better, and he is looking at his own bias and his own inability to listen to other people. He said, what am I doing wrong? How do I how do I communicate with other people? And it's not needing to judge the other person, and reason that the guilt by association is so toxic, that idea of if you're associated with someone, you're enabling them and doing that. Don't worry about enabling somebody's message. If the message isn't sound, people have their own intellectual immune systems. What we're trying to do is to enable people's immune systems to sort of have a defense against bad arguments. But you can't really develop an intellectual immune system unless you have a means by which to engage and to evaluate other people's perspectives. Now, we all sort of develop our own intellectual immune systems in a variety of ways. And let's be honest, an immune system can backfire. It can become an allergic reaction. So be critical of your own criticism. Be critical of, well, is there something else? And this is where we can all learn from Jordon. He is very self-critical, but he's not so self-critical that he doesn't have an opinion. He's so self-critical that I'm more interested in what the truth is than I am interested in what I think. If you don't value the truth, if you don't value honesty, we can't get at the truth, right? We can't get on the best course of action to take. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing this incredibly cryptic evaluation of people. It's like you're going to offend people. No matter what you do, you're going to offend people. You're going to have an impact. You cannot step outside and not have an impact on the world, okay? We can't divorce ourselves from impact. We're going to have an impact, okay? There's no such thing as a free lunch. We're going to have an energy impact on the universe. We're going to breathe air in. We're going to exhale air out. So this whole fundamental nature of trying to filter everything out isn't going to work, and it's detrimental to our health, and it's certainly detrimental to emotional health. So, and the thing is, a conversation with a flat earther is a wonderful conversation. A conversation with anyone you disagree with is a wonderful conversation, and relish that conversation. No, not as, oh, that guy's an idiot. Don't judge other people for their positions. Try to understand, well, how did they arrive at this position? Where do you think their stumbling blocks are, right? Now, here's the thing. We value and need one another, and it's just something else I think Jordon really understands well, is what others give to us. And in his example, in this speech he gives here, in the link, the one that really got me thinking, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a live podcast. I haven't done one in a while. I got things going on in my life, and I thought, well, I really want to talk about this. And this is the idea of what children bring to us. And, well, they have nothing, right? You think, well, what do they bring to you? They bring this wonderful perspective, a different perspective on life. They see things from a distance. It's not right or wrong, it's just different. And if you can listen to what a child tells you without judging them right or wrong or immoral, whatever, but just how they're processing the information and where that might be coming from. It tells you something about your environment. It tells you something about their thinking process. It's a combination of things going on there. Their personality, who they are as a person, what their interests are. And it is a gift to be able to see that person emerge from nothingness, right? And here's this person that has an opinion about the world at a very young age. And having their eyes to look through is so important. And that's the same reason why we need other people's perspective to see what's going on in this world. I mean, we're jaded. We're always going to be biased. And we need other people to give us their perspective. And even it's almost like, especially if they disagree with you, the more diverse, the more left field they come from, the better. Those are the better conversations. Where do you share common ground? You'd be shocked at the common ground you have with people you fundamentally don't agree with. I mean, maybe in principle. But when it comes down to it, we're all human. We share a lot of similarities simply because of the fact that we're human. We breathe, we eat, and we do all the other things that you have to do if you breathe and eat and drink. But so we share that bond. We have a commonality. We want. Don't they love their children? Don't they want to live? So we have to have the conversations, though, and appreciate diverse opinions are good opinions. And that's why I thought it's really amazing. I mean, Jordon would consider himself a Christian, and Sam Harris would consider himself a non-believer or atheist, whatever you want to use to define him. A lot of people don't like the idea. They want to label atheism Christianity. Atheism as Christianity. Yeah, it's a new form of Christianity. Is atheist Christianity? Could be. I mean, Jews do it, so Christians could do it too. But the point here is, what is a point? Any comments? Damn you! Rescue me from myself. Yeah, no one's going to rescue me. It was a thought. It was a thought. Maybe someone would rescue me one day. But anyways, and I've been thinking about this, and recently in one of my other videos, the killing of the amazing atheist T.J. Kirk, as he wants to go by now, killed himself. And anyways, the point here is that I think atheism has kind of gone through a phase, and we're sort of seeing a phase shift as people find toxicity in that label. It's like, I don't like the label. It pigeonholes you. That's not me. It doesn't define you. Where most people that become Christians don't mind being referred to as Christians because it's a positive label. And I think TJ probably said it best in terms of you need a positivity in your life to really go on. And I really would like to see a shift in YouTube. And I see this shift. I see a very positivity functioning shift. And if you listen to Jordon, it's not a negativity. It's a very positive approach. It's like, we want to have a conversation. We don't want to close down conversation because conversation is so important. To tell things that are wrong, it's like, everything's wrong. The universe is so terrible. But it's not. It's really not. It's a wonderful world to live in. We're extremely lucky. I mean, that's amazing what we can do. We can talk to one another across the globe in an instant fashion when you can figure out how the technology actually works. But how can you not feel good about the world. Now, I'm probably in a manic phase of my life right now, because one of the things when you go into stress, you might have a manic high and then you have a depressing low. Now, I'm not saying I'm manic depressive, and I don't really know what it's like, but I do feel like you go through manic phases. But, so you probably haven't seen my other videos, but if you have, so I got fired for bringing an iPad to work. You can watch that video if you want to, but so I'm sort of going to, how do you reshape your life in this world? What is meaningful to me? What would be a good, positive turning point? So that most people say, well, that's a negative thing in your life, but is it really a negative thing? I mean, it just opens up new doors. It says you've sort of been relieved of responsibilities, and now you can reacquire new responsibilities. So bad situations can be turned to good situations. And the more I see about conversations, it's just about the conversation. So that's really what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to drum up conversations and just continue the conversation going. The wonderful thing about a small channel like mine is that conversations can be had on an individual level, and we can hash some ideas out. Now, I have some hopes and dreams for creating a healthy community of thinkers, but it's not about me. It's really about other people. It's about helping people in their individual lives how to have good, healthy conversations. Right? How do we have the healthy conversation with people we disagree with? And you can do it by letting go of your need to be right. One of the things I see a lot of people, they have a hard time letting go of their need to be right. You don't have to be right. You can be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have someone correct you. And say, oh my gosh, that was a bad decision. You're not a bad person for being wrong. No one's bad for being wrong. Don't punish someone for being wrong. And we've all done it. But we can reflect on our doing it and we can say, whoa, that was really bad of me. Even though they may be in the wrong, you punishing them for being wrong isn't necessarily going to help them. Now, I say isn't necessarily because sometimes a good tongue lashing has its effects. But if you do it, take ownership of that tongue lashing. Now, those of you who may or may not know, I've followed Milo for a year or so, and some people think he's just a troll. I would say he's a troll with a purpose. And I don't agree with him on several points in the effectiveness of fat shaming, for example. And it's not just because I'm a fat person. It's because, is it effective? Does it actually help them when they need help? Sometimes it may. And that's where the ownership comes in. It's not always going to work. It's not always going to be the best thing, but it's a conversation. If you feel a certain way about someone, you can approach it in a nice way, but I believe it's better that you tell them how you exactly feel about them instead of trying to resist. We have a tendency to want to censor. And I had a conversation with my mom this morning about haircut. And believe it or not, this look you see before you is a deliberate look of a statement of individuality, if you will. Not quite the purple hair, not quite the pink hair, but a statement of individuality. How do I feel? What is the look that reflects the way I'm feeling now? And I think that's important. I think we should express ourselves how we feel comfortable. And are we reacting to the community? Or are we reacting to our own needs? Now, it's a mixture, right? Our community and our own personal identity. We can't totally separate the two from one another. But I think we can make a statement about who we are and how we dress. In fact, we do that almost automatically. Makeup is a good example of, and it's, okay, I'm going to share with you stuff that I probably shouldn't let you know. Jacqueline Glenn is a YouTuber, and she recently had breast augmentation. Now, I've kind of cringed a little bit, but I was like, I don't really have anything. It's her choice. But there's so many angles to that, and it's not an issue that I face, but that image, that need to be a certain image, it's whether she has it or doesn't have it, it comes down to it's her choice, right? But I don't think it's wrong to say, hey, I think that's stupid to do, or that's great to do. Whatever your position is, I think it is fine to say whatever you think it is, but recognize you do have an impact on that person's life. And that was my previous video, You're Awesome, which is I just borrowed the thumbnail for that and put it on my thumbnail here. Is just... this is a little snowflakey because we do have an impact on people's lives when we say things to them. And I say it's snowflakey because in a way this is what identity politics is based on. By being nice to people, we can have a positive influence on their lives. By saying nice things like, you're awesome, can have a positive influence on that person's life. Whether it's done sarcastically or whatever, you don't necessarily know the impact that will have on their lives. We can't really judge whether or not, we can't know what the impact is going to be. So the only thing we really can do is to be receptive of how they're perceiving it and not take it as judgment upon you. It's simply them informing you of how they are perceiving that information. So they can only tell you what they are perceiving, and that's useful to us. And what we tend to do is we say, well, don't judge me. That's the right thing to say. I have the right to say that. And in communication, it's not a question of right and wrong. And I think we're obsessed with this moral rationalization of right and wrong. And I can see the toxicity in doing that. Let's first have the conversation. Let's first decide where we stand. And it's okay if maybe we were mistaken. And it's frustrating because we need to get through the layers of communication. And in some ways, Lacey Green, in all her craziness, has some points to be made about being nice to one another. And I'm not a Lacey Green person in general, and I generally side with Karen Strong and the Honey Badgers on those issues. Just so you know, full disclosure, I'm probably not going to disagree with Karen Strong. I might. We have some points of disagreement when it comes to history, but in general, I can't disagree with her because I can't find a mistake. Please share with me if you have a mistake that she's made. I would definitely encourage that. But our words have an impact. And because of that, we need to learn how to communicate with one another and not become defensive. And this is the most common thing that we do, is become defensive. So how can we say things that won't immediately trigger someone's defensiveness? Now, is it to create safe spaces where people won't be triggered? That's an impossibility. Because the environment itself is going to be some level of toxicity is going to be in the environment. It's better to build an immune system to handle the toxicity in the environment, get the inoculations. And this would be the college environment. We would hope that young people would get the inoculations, the ability to see beyond the words and understand the meanings of the people and why they might be saying what they're saying. See where their gaps in knowledge might be and actually learn how to help them by listening to them. So if you don't want to hear what flat earthers think, you basically don't care about helping people learn why the earth is round. You don't care about their needs. And if you don't care about the needs of the flat earth people, and their needs is they really should appreciate the beauty and the wonder of a globe. Speaking of a globe, for what it's worth, there's a beautiful VR application, and if you've ever been in VR, it's just a good one. Google Earth VR is very fun and very engaging. People of all ages enjoy that experience of flying around the Earth. And when I was doing it, of course I was thinking of my flat earther friends. I was like, I mean, how do you explain this, how we can fly around the Earth? It really is a compelling model of how the Earth works. I would love to see a flat Earth model. I mean, I'm encouraging all flat earthers out there to make a flat Earth VR. That would be super cool, because I cannot for the life of me visualize a flat Earth at this point in my life. It's just like, boom, it's very compelling. So I use, and maybe people say I abuse flat earthers by using them, but I love flat earthers. I think it's awesome when someone makes a flat Earth statement. It's like, and are people kidding? Are they serious? Are you serious? You think the Earth is flat? If they really think it is, it's just, I gotta talk to them. And why wouldn't you want to talk to them? Why wouldn't you want to engage in a civil conversation with them? Why wouldn't you want to understand their thinking? That, to me, we shouldn't be afraid of bad ideas. We shouldn't be afraid to listen to what people have to say. And if we all are afraid, to listen to other people's opinions, listen to other people's perspective, we're shutting down the glorious world all around us. And really the stories that people have to tell, and there's reasons behind why they say things the way they do, are, and let that come through without the judgment. Because really, the censorship is about judging people. You're wrong. Oh, you're right. That's the right perspective to have. Yeah, but it's not what I believe. So we want people to tell you what you believe. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Sam Harris, you'll know this already, but Sam Harris wrote a very important book, and it's not the books you probably think of. And it's called Lying. Now, what he outlines there is why lying is so important to relationships, honesty, and how it builds. You can build off of honesty. You can't build off of deception. Deception is like, well, what was your point of making this contract? If you don't know why someone is doing something. So you can always ask this question. You can ask this question of yourself. You can ask this question of someone else. What are you hoping to accomplish? Okay. Now, I listen for specific things when I watch a movie or something like that, and recently saw, I believe it's Better Call Saul, and his brother in the show makes this statement. Saul asks, well, what did you want to accomplish? And he says, if I told you, it would be illegal. Oh. And that struck me as saying, so if our laws are preventing us from telling the truth of what we want, then we need to really carefully think about those laws and what those laws are doing. I'm not going to judge the law. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. We need a system of rules. We need something at least approximating fairness. But we need to understand what the consequences of certain rules are and how it might be inhibiting conversation. Now, it's the hate speech laws. And it's like, just don't do it. Let people talk. We have to help people build up the immune system to resist bad ideas if they are bad ideas. But here's the thing that I don't think people realize is that they have bought into a lot of bad ideas, and there's no vetting of those bad ideas, no circulation of ideas. And if you keep a civil attitude, meaning I'm not here to hurt you, I'm not here to take your livelihood away, I'm not here to punish you, for believing what you believe, or thinking what you think, or saying what you say. What I'm interested in is understanding how you came to that conclusion, so that we can agree to have a civilized world. I mean, and then you could ask, do we all want a civilized world? Is that an objective that we're interested in? Or would you like to burn it all down? You know, you want to start over again? And here's the thing, I'm okay if someone wants to have a whole different system of government. I wish we'd get out of this mindset that it has to be just one system of government. Now, at some level, we're going to have to cooperate with each other, but in some other ways, we could be very distinctly different. Meaning you can have a civilization that has their own set of rules, even within a group of people. Now, that's too far ahead in terms of thinking. But it's something I think about. I said, why can't we have amicable disagreements and amicable different ways of doing living life? But what is mutual? What is exclusive? What can't we do? You know, we need to ask those questions. And one thing is, I think it's pretty clear, we have to be honest, and honesty needs to be pushed to a higher standard. And that's ultimately what Harris is saying in his book line. It has to be pushed to a higher standard. And that is what Jordon Peterson said. We've got to be honest, and we can't censor people for what they think. We want to hear a clear-throated explanation of what they think. And if people censor what they think, if they can't say exactly what they think, we'll never get to why they're thinking it, right? What you say is not necessarily why you're saying it. You're saying it for some random reason, right? It may be a random reason, or maybe you're thinking something to be true, but it's not actually true. But we don't know that if all we're worried about is what people say. It's not why they're saying it. It's in the same vein as you can't read a book by its cover. You can't understand someone's words until you understand the person that's saying those words and the context from where those words are coming from. Most people, and I would say 99%, well, maybe not that high, but pretty close to that, have no ill will towards anyone else. It's amazing. I did customer service for 10 years. And people are civilized, nice in general. And you know, there's all this talk about how bad people are, how mean people are. People are really nice. In general, they're very, very nice. Especially if you treat them as people. If you don't treat them as, robots or cogs in the wheel, you're going to get an amazing response from people. And that is why, communication is so important. I think there's this micro elite that just, often I don't know. It's basically they don't trust the general public. There's an interesting book called Twilight of the Elite. If you're interested in an interesting twist on the elitism and what elitism is, it's a great book to kind of explore that whole idea. And I think there's a fear, though. I think there's an absolute fear that the mobs are going to rule. And we really haven't. We really haven't had an opportunity to speak our minds as individuals until very recently. And even today, you will find people, you'll find yourselves, well, you're stupid. You don't have a right to say anything. And it's just, they're trying to shut that speech down, because what happens if everyone has a voice? What happens? It would just be all noise. There will be no signal. It will just be noise, 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 and more noise. And I think that's a fear. I mean, how do we organize ourselves around just noise? But look at the market system. The market system works in a noisy environment. It's people get to choose what they want to buy. No one tells them what to buy, although they try to convince them what to buy. But what I'm saying is that is a self-organizing system. And so my conversation won't be appealing to this section of the world, but it may be a very micro section here that needs to hear what I have to say. And I should just say it and allow others to choose whether or not they want to hear it. And that is why we just go and say, oh, I want to talk. I want to have conversations with people that want to talk about the importance of conversation. And we can do this. And we live in a wonderful world that allows us to have this conversation. It's scary. There's a lot of scary things going on. But get outside, look at the flowers. It's not raining today. I should be happy about that. So, anyway, I didn't set an end time on this, but apparently a few people were watching. I hope, for what it's worth, I just needed to get it off my chest, and I just had a lot to say. Apparently I needed to learn a little bit more about using live streaming. Now, it says here the live stream health is not very good, and I'm going to just have to go back and look to see what the live stream health is. There's a yellow across the screen. Don't know what that's about, but if you have any ideas, or please, I always want to hear from people that have differing opinions, similar opinions, points of perspectives. But I think I might want to try to do just sort of random live streaming from time to time going forward. And I know some people can't get engaged into a conversation because of what they're doing. The beautiful part about the internet is maybe we're at work, maybe we're driving a bus. Well, that would be at work, I guess. But riding a bus. And you can listen to someone live, some random person on the internet talking random crap to you. It's really cool. And, I'm going to talk about some guy that he's sort of a hero to me in a strange sort of way. Daniel Salzbach, if you ever watched Mr. Rapsion. He drives me nuts so often, but he's still a hero to me. In that he just sort of got online. And I've been able to watch him grow as a person and as a YouTuber, but more as a person. It's always been fascinating to me as he has relationships, falls out of relationship, talks about how crappy YouTube is and I can't depend on YouTube, and is now becoming a welder, which I think is actually a good idea. It's the best idea I've heard him come up with in terms of a job solution. I didn't realize he had making that choice, but recently he did that. But the beautiful thing about, here's a random stranger, it's random life, and you get to know something about him. I actually met him once, at a blogger fair. He hugged me, which kind of took me back. He was a really nice guy. If you meet him in person. But YouTubers are they're interesting. It's an interesting way to grow up, and I enjoy watching them grow up. And I think we should celebrate people that are daring enough to go out, and yes, they're narcissistic. Yes, there's all these things, but they're good people, and they're just trying to live a life and sharing their lives. I think it's important, and it can be hard. It can be challenging as fame and fortune come crushing down on you. More fame without fortune, unfortunately, for some of these people. It's like, I got a lot of expectations, but I don't have a lot of money to cover those expectations. Sometimes. I'm thinking of Shoe on Head. I'm not sure what kind of money she is making, but I don't think she's a big Patreon person. And I think she has more power than she knows what to do with, and I think it's freaking her out. You let me know if you think that's true or not, but I do watch a lot of YouTubers, and I go off. Usually I stay on the mainstreams, but I'm always looking for new up-and-coming YouTubers or just people I have conversations with. So, and it's easier for me to say YouTuber than social media advocate or whatever. But if you want, and again, suggestions are always welcome. And anyways, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. It's been about 45 minutes, they say, in elapsed times, and we'll see. It says 4 people are watching, just so you know. I do have my panel up here, and I'm looking. And as far as I'm concerned, I had a lot of fun. I love talking to myself. It's so much fun. Anyways, thanks so much. Oh, you know what? This is a new system, and I'm so freaked out. It has I have to go over here to actually stop this damn thing. And he says stop streaming. Again, thank you for... it has a transition. We should try to transition. No, that didn't work. Okay. And stop recording, stop streaming. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, for what it's worth. Talk to me.